Tea is a common staple in India. Cooked on the stove, infused with milk and sugar, it has its own distinct flavor, texture, and smell. A cornerstone of being South Asian. If you go to a tea house or a restaurant or even a public square, a child of yay high would appear before you, take your order, prepare your tea, wait for you to finish, wash your cups, and disappear. If you were to travel by train, ones with the open windows, a similar child will be seen running next to the train with a kettle in one hand and a crate of glasses in the other, screaming, "Chai le lo chai, chai le lo chai, take your tea right here," a child of yay high. You go to a cocoa farm in Ghana, and children as young as 5 years of age are seen assisting their parents on the largest cocoa resource in the world. Those little hands are responsible for the chocolate you bite into and the skincare products you use on your face every day. Why don't you educate them, you say? Why don't you send them to school? Answer, I am educating them. I am a farmer, my child will be a farmer. A potter's child will become a potter. A doctor's child very often becomes a doctor. What's the difference? I am educating them how I deem fit. If I take you to an affluent house in Dubai or Doha with plush floors and luxury cars, while we sit and chat to our host, a young girl would walk in with a trolley filled with snacks, finger food, tea, juices, you name it. She will prepare your tea, serve you food on a platter, wait for you to finish, clean up, and go. Your domestic help is really young, you say. Oh, no. She's not our domestic help. We employ her mother, and we allowed her to bring her entire family to live in our quarters. She only helps her mother with housework after coming home from school. This, among many others, this is modern slavery. The modern slavery that we are fighting against. It comes in many other forms: forced labor, human trafficking, indentured service. But I am first and foremost concerned about child labor. Child labor, the forceful employment of children under the legally permitted age, at many times in duties which are hazardous and dangerous to their physical, mental, and emotional health. If I give you some numbers, nearly 1 in 10 children is a victim of child labor. There are 100 of us here in this room today. 10 of us would be those victims. That's 10%. And it's not just on construction sites or mineral mines. It's also in agriculture and in the domestic sector. There's a total of 160 million children. That's 4 times the population of Canada. And it is growing more and more. And we've been fighting against it for decades. The International Labour Organization Convention 138, the ILO Convention 182, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child are foundational legislations in our battle against child labor. And it's not just governmental organizations. Individual governments are also stepping to the plate. The UK enshrined a Modern Slavery Act in 2015. Australia followed suit in 2018. Even Canada joined the game last year. France and Germany have their own legislations. Even the US and EU have forced labor regulations. All of this was done with the hope of eliminating child labor by 2025. And yet here we are, it is 2025 and it is ever rampant. And it's not just governments that are helping us. Private firms are incentivized to eliminate child labor from their workforce and supply chains. They say to their suppliers in emerging economies, if you employ children, we shall not buy from you, and we will not work with you. I think that sounds wonderful. But that is where the problem begins. Suppliers in emerging economies say, we are growing stronger. We want to leverage this informal workforce. We want to utilize this cheap labor. You don't want to work with us? Fine. We will work with other firms in other countries, ones not crippled by such legislation. If you meet them at trade events or global meets and try to convince them, they say, who are you to lecture us about human rights? The colonial masters back with their imperialist agenda. When you were growing and building and expanding, you employed these practices. Many of you still do. But if it's our turn to grow and expand and build, suddenly these practices are unethical, unlawful, and immoral. How convenient. And then governments say, are you responsible for feeding the millions and millions of families that are relying on the labor of their oldest child? Are you going to come in and feed the families with the ailing mother, the handicapped father, the younger siblings too young to study or work, all relying on the blood, sweat, and tears of the oldest child? There are over 6 billion people who live in emerging and developing economies. We don't have the infrastructure to cater to all of them. If you give us aid, we have 10 other things to resolve before we answer this question. This was the problem, and this is our solution. And then there's the kicker. There are some families, many families, would say, what's the point of this education? Why should I send my child to school? I'm a farmer, they're going to become a farmer. I work in homes, they're going to work in homes. I'm not going to send them to school, there's no point. And what's so wrong with working in the fields as a child? I did it. My grandparents did it. Their grandparents did it. I come from an ancient civilization with a culture that's thousands of years old. It's almost a rite of passage for us to work with our family. To them, it seems like we in the developed West suddenly woke up one day and decided to declare all these practices immoral and unlawful, flying in the face of thousands of years of civilization. How do you convince them without bringing in the moral high horse? This is our paradox. The well-meaning, well-intentioned governments and IGOs of the developed West trying to cure a societal illness, and emerging economies saying, do not cut the hand that feeds billions of people. This is not a structural problem. It's a cultural one. It cannot have a structural solution. It must have a cultural one. I say that we can come together to shape global culture, one that cures this societal ill while remaining value and reverential of old cultures, traditions, and civilizations. And I say we can do so in 3 major steps. By incentivizing apprenticeships, using technology for education, and by making charity easy. Apprenticeships flourish when we incentivize the work you already do, extrapolate the skill set, and operationalize it towards an innovative marketplace. A child working at home doesn't need to go to school for 16 years, memorizing and learning information and knowledge. They can have a career arc that takes them to the hospitality sector. A child chopping onions at 6 years of age can be a future master chef. A mason's assistant can work as a material science researcher. A child working at a bicycle repair shop can grow into an automotive engineer. We need to champion the skills they already have, tie it to education, and use state-backed structures to allow them to go from informal to a formal economy and then towards progress. And nothing does this better than technology. Technology allows access to educational content around the world. In fact, content is the new education. Podcasts are replacing mainstream media. Audiobooks are available in language across the world. And the internet and mobile phones are growing by the millions each day. With technology, a child in Calcutta can connect with a child in Montreal, sharing dreams, hopes, fears, goals, leading to educational opportunities, scholarships, joint ventures, travel. Technology can help reduce that gap, bringing the world closer and connecting people. It can also allow us to make charity easy by allowing those with benefit to help those without. That very child in Montreal can fund a scholarship for his friend in India or Bangladesh, putting an actionable face to their philanthropy. We can build an international Craigslist of sorts, where a child in Vietnam needs to raise money for books or to pay tuition fees, and you can simply cash app him the money in a safe and secure manner. It can happen. A child in Africa is working on a farm. You can incentivize lobbying. You can incentivize programs. You can incentivize activities that take place in their own farm, like data literacy, like language learning, to help them grow towards betterment. A road cleaner, a domestic worker, a mason's assistant can vlog about their daily lives to an international audience and gain support financially, emotionally, and legislatively. We need to grow beyond our limits of geopolitics, of national boundaries, of governmental organizations. It is people at the end of the day. People helping people is a powerful thing. We need to use technology to deinstitutionalize, decentralize, and democratize education, using state-backed apprenticeships to leverage your skills, and making charity easy so that money can flow from donor to receiver smoothly, seamlessly, and towards progress. To quote one of the greatest men we know, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they are not judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character." To him I say, I too have a dream that my child in Ghana working on the cocoa farm, my child in India selling tea, my child in Dubai working domestic labor can walk shoulder to shoulder with our children here at Brebeuf, at Eton, at Westminster. To him I say, I too have a dream that every living, breathing soul in this room, in this city, in this country, in this world, can look beyond their limits to eliminate child labor so that we can come together and grow towards progress. I have a dream today. Thank you and God bless you all.